Alright, let's get you back to...
Gotcha, bitch!
Hello internet, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In this video I really just wanted to talk about the newest episodes of Daredevil, specifically episodes 7 and 8. I know episode 7 came out like a week ago, or I guess like 2 weeks ago, or it came out like a while ago, or not super long ago, you know what I mean. It came out, and then episode 8 came out this week. And so I've seen both of those episodes, so I've seen all the episodes so far, and I guess my thoughts on the show as of like episode 8, because I'm enjoying the show. I think it's good. I'm enjoying where it's going. Obviously, I'm enjoying Matt Murdock as Daredevil, and Wilson Fisk in those characters, and some of the supporting characters I'm enjoying. Some of them I don't know. I feel like some of them are just like there just to be there, or some of them just feel like kind of, I don't know, not that interesting. Like Cherry for example. He's supposed to be, I guess, like the Matt's like police friend, or I guess he's like retired from the police force, but he still works with Matt, I guess, on his lawyer stuff, or like whatever. But I feel like the entire time he's just kind of just there to spout out information to Matt about certain things the entire time. So like his character I'm not necessarily like that interested in, but like he's fine. You also have some other characters like I forget his name, but he's like Wilson, like he's the guy, or he's like some kid or some guy who really admires Wilson Fisk. In his character, or some of these supporting characters so far, I'm interested to see where they go, because I know there's supposed to be a season 2 of this show. So I am interested to see where characters like the guy who supports Wilson Fisk, and I know there's a character that's supposed to be related to Ben Urich. Ben Urich was the guy who was in the first season of Daredevil, and he was kind of like the reporter slash guy that helped out Daredevil, to take down Wilson Fisk, obviously. And obviously Wilson Fisk at the end of season 1 ends up killing Ben Urich, and so I think it's his niece or his close cousin or something like that. I think her name is like BB Urich or something like that. Her character, I'm interested to see where they take her character, because obviously, there's a connection between those two, and I'm interested to see how she plays a role in like the narrative in season 2. If she's gonna be, I'm assuming she's gonna be in season 2. I'm guessing all the supporting characters that are in season 1 are gonna be in season 2. But for episode 7 in particular, I want to start with episode 7. Episode 7 is probably, I want to say, my least favorite episode so far. It's not a bad episode. I enjoyed it, but there were some things that especially when it came to like the editing, I feel like out of all the episodes so far, episode 7 was like cut together the weirdest. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one that felt this, but like there are some scenes and some dialogue where I'm just like, that was ADR'd in, or that was like there was some scenes where like characters were moving their lips, and like it didn't like match up with the dialogue sometimes, and there is like some weird cuts and like in edit decisions that I wasn't really a fan of, I guess. But yeah, and also in this episode we find out that Muse is the same guy that's like going to Matt's girlfriend's like therapy sessions or like whatever. And he's like crazy and he's like super weird and like he's he's like super obsessed with Matt's girlfriend. And I guess just Muse as like a character or like him being a villain in this show. I thought he was gonna play more of a pivotal role in the story. But I guess he's more of just like a side villain. But he, spoilers if you haven't seen episode 7. I'm about to spoil what happens in the episode. He dies, not by he dies by Matt's, or the therapist, or Matt's girlfriend. He ends up getting shot by her multiple times, and he ends up dying. And so my thoughts on that character, like, he was an interesting villain. Like the whole thing of him like painting murals on the side of like buildings with human blood, I thought was like super fascinating, and also obviously super crazy and weird and like what the freak. But I don't know, his character was, I feel like they could have done more with his character, and like maybe he could have been in season 2, or like maybe, I don't know, just like the time that we spent with the character, I feel like wasn't enough for me to be like super like interested in the character. But yeah, what else happens in this episode? Freaking Daredevil obviously fights Muse, and they have like a little fight in like the therapist's place because Muse is holding the therapist, Matt's girlfriend, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, hostage, and Daredevil basically ends up saving her. And that happens. What else happens in this episode? Freaking Wilson Fisk, he's putting together like this task force of I guess the corrupted cops that were that killed freaking White Tiger. He's basically put together like a whole task force with those same corrupted cops, and they're basically going out and being, I guess, like they're supposed to be taking out vigilantes, I guess, or taking out like crime, but like in a more like brutal and illegal way, I guess. And so that whole thing is interesting. I'm guessing that's gonna play a role in the last episode, because obviously we've seen set photos of Daredevil and the Punisher both in like costume and everything. And so I'm assuming Punisher is gonna come back for the last episode, and him and Daredevil are gonna take out these like corrupted cops, or they're gonna fight against these corrupted cops. I'm assuming that's what's gonna happen in the last episode. And so basically what happens is that Matt's girlfriend, she ends up shooting Muse, and then the freaking corrupted cops, or I guess Wilson Fisk's task force, they find Muse's dead body, and they find like the whole like thing, but like Daredevil is not there, and like Matt's girlfriend is not there, they're gone. And so Wilson Fisk basically is like, so you guys were the ones who killed or brought in Muse, or killed Muse, or stopped Muse, or like whatever. It wasn't Daredevil or anything, it was actually you guys. So he basically lies, and he takes credit for the taking out Muse, basically. And I guess that's basically his way of saying, hey, my police force, my task force or whatever, they're good at taking out vigilante. Even though Muse is not a vigilante, I guess he's just kind of like whoever wears like a costume or a mask, he's associating with a vigilante. So he's kind of associating those two together, like Daredevil and the Punisher together with Muse. But overall the episode was, I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10, or like 7, or it wasn't bad. I still liked it, but it definitely was my least favorite episode so far. So okay, so moving on to episode 8, the newest episode that we have so far. I gotta say, I enjoyed this episode. I definitely enjoyed this episode a lot more than the last episode, and I think that's mainly due to there being, I guess, so apparently the last 2 episodes of this season and the first episode were done by the new, I guess, creative people, or I guess when the show had like an overhaul, because it originally wasn't going to be connected to the Netflix show, and then they changed that, so now it is connected to the Netflix show, and I guess they changed the people working on the show, or like whatever. And so the last 2 episodes were done by the new people, I guess, or whatever. And so I gotta say, I did enjoy this episode more. I didn't enjoy it like leaps and bounds more than, you know, the other episodes, but it definitely was better than the last episode that I saw. And so just starting off with this episode, obviously Bullseye, one of the highlights of this episode in my opinion. We start off with like this blue rose with this like song playing. I forget what the song is called or like whatever, but you know, it pans out from like this blue rose, and then it pans out all the way to seeing Dex or Bullseye in like his cell, basically, I guess, looking at this blue flower. And all throughout the episode, there are points where like it's really, I guess you see like the back of his, like, it's always shot from like the back of his, like, I guess POV, or like it's like, you know, it's always from like the back of his like body or like head or like whatever. And there are just certain points where like he'll be in a certain situation where like his like whole, I guess his whole visual like parameters become like this tinted blue color. God damn! Motherfucker! And I just really thought that was like super interesting, because obviously we, you know, with Matt, he sees like a world on fire, and so like, you know, we get shots with Matt always, you know, sometimes with like the color red, and obviously the color red is highly associated with Daredevil because, you know, the red costume and everything. But, you know, with Bullseye, he wears like a blue and like black like costume, and so seeing, you know, his perspective on certain things with like through like this blue hue type peripheral like color, I thought was super cool, because I guess it kind of just like, if you want to associate with the like the color blue with like him being cold, or like him like not, I guess him being cold towards certain situations, because, or him being cold-hearted just in general, because like he just kills like anyone that he wants to, like all the time. Like he'll literally just kill like random civilians for no reason, just because like he can, because he's a sociopath. And so I really thought that was cool. And so basically the episode starts off with him, he's like being moved to like a different section of the prison, because I guess Wilson Fisk had him moved to like a different section of the prison, or like whatever. And so this episode mainly focuses on him and like, you know, Matt. And Matt apparently, or I guess Dex wants to talk to Matt about something, and obviously Matt is like a lot more frustrated. This is I think the most we've seen like Matt just frustrated at like the, I guess like the, just like the crimes, or I guess like the I guess just the system, or like the law just in general. Like he's kind of gotten to the point where like obviously we've had this buildup of him becoming Daredevil again, and we've kind of gotten to the point where like he's getting to the point where like, okay, yeah, none of this is like working. You know, all these people, like I put Bullseye away, you know, he's still alive, You know, that I feel like he doesn't like. I defend Hector. I can't remember his last name, but I defend White Tiger. He gets shot. You know, he feels like at this point that like everything that he tries to do is not working or just doesn't work. And so at this point, freaking I forget her name. I guess his like the person that he works with, the lawyer or I forget her name. But she's like the black lady, and like she's like they both work together at the law firm. And so basically she comes to him and she's like, hey, Wilson Fisk, he moved freaking Bullseye to they call it Gen Pop or something like that. It's basically where I guess I don't know why they call it Gen Pop, but that's what they call it. I guess that's where all like the worst criminals go, or like that's where like the main that's where most of the criminals are, because I guess Bullseye is in like a different section of the prison that's like more isolated. And so he's moved there, and so she basically tells him that he also wants to talk to him, or talk to Matt. And Matt is just like, why does he want to talk to me? I don't want to talk to him. He freaking killed my best friend. He killed my BFF. Like, what the frick? Why would I want to talk to him? And so basically he leaves the freaking law firm place because he's so fed up with like the freaking law and like everything, and he feels like nothing is working. And so he goes to Josie's bar, and at Josie's bar he basically figures out on the night that Foggy was killed, Foggy I guess was celebrating the fact that he was, or I guess he had celebrated, he was celebrating the fact that he was probably gonna win like some big case that he was doing. And so he figures out that like since we know that he was like drinking like I guess some type of like alcohol or like wine that he usually drinks when he knows he's about to win some big case. And so that sparks an idea on Matt's brain that basically Foggy was basically killed or silenced by Bullseye for some reason, but he doesn't know why, or he doesn't know who, I guess, sent Bullseye to kill Foggy. And so that's what he tries to figure out. And I guess in this scene also Cherry shows up. I guess I gotta say his character so far, like, it kind of feels like, and I don't know if I've said this before, but his character is one of the supporting characters where I'm just like, I don't really care that you're here. You're really just here to spout out like information to Matt about what's going on in the story. Other than that, he doesn't really have any like other characteristics I feel like about him, and so he's kind of just here the entire time. But I don't know, maybe they'll do something more interesting with him in the second season, but for right now he's kind of just here. And so basically after that, Matt goes to the prison, he meets with Bullseye, they freaking have like a back and forth with each other. You know, Matt is obviously like holding back everything he can right now not to beat the living crap out of this man. And Bullseye is there, and Bullseye is like, hey, if you let me out of prison, I'll tell you who sent me to kill Foggy, basically. And Matt's like, nah, I'm not doing that, I don't trust you. And then Matt gets to a point where like, or there's a point in the conversation where like apparently Bullseye like says like this thing, and I can't remember the direct quote of it. Okay, here's the quote. In another life, you might be defending me, because that's what good men do. They defend their worst enemies. And that quote, in itself, kind of comes back. This quote kind of foreshadows what happens in like the ending of this episode, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And so basically, Matt, you know, he gets to a point where like he's fed up with Bullseye. I mean, I would be too if, you know, someone killed my BFF. And so he bashes Bullseye's head against the freaking table like over and over again because he's super mad, like he's just super pissed off right now. And so in turn, Matt doesn't realize this, but like in turn of him doing that, he basically gives Dex a way out of prison. So basically what happens is that Dex, like when, you know, Matt like smashed his head against the table, it broke one of his like teeth or like whatever you want to, you know, whatever terminology you want to use. And so basically it's so crazy, bro. There's a scene where like I guess he's in the clinic area of like the prison or whatever, and they're like checking up on him because like his head was like bashed against like the table because that's what Daredevil did to him. And so like they're checking up on him and everything. And then there's a part where Bullseye just he smiles, and like we see there's like a little like you can see like he has one of his like tooth in between like his, you know, he's like I can't even like spit out what I'm trying to say. Basically, he uses his teeth as like a projectile to kill one of the guards, or not kill one of the guards, but like he uses like his super freaking what you wanna call it. He basically uses the teeth to take out one of the guards, and then he breaks out. And then I forgot to mention, I'm all over the place with this episode. Wilson Fisk basically ends up showing Vanessa where I forget what's the guy's name, but like he was the guy who cheated with, or he was the guy that Vanessa cheated on Wilson Fisk with or whatever, and Wilson Fisk has been holding him down in like this dungeon for like I don't know how long. He's been down there for like so long that he's grown like a full-grown beard, and his hair is super long, so he's been down there for a super long time. But Wilson Fisk basically shows Vanessa where he's been keeping you know, Vanessa's ex-lover, like whatever. And I gotta say, this scene was definitely interesting because the whole entire time this guy's just pleading for his life, just like, please just let me go. Like I will literally tell nobody that I know anything about you guys. I will literally say nothing. I will literally just leave and pretend like none of this happened. And it's just like so crazy because none of this is really his fault. Like he didn't know that freaking Vanessa so happened to be I guess like the wife, or you know, the person that was, you know, with Wilson Fisk basically. And so, you know, he didn't know that, and so like this whole situation is like super depressed. It's super sad because like he didn't know like Wilson Fisk was Vanessa's girlfriend or like whatever, or wife or like whatever. And so Vanessa basically kills this guy because, you know, she can't have loose ends or like whatever, I don't know. And so basically Wilson Fisk and Vanessa, they kind of rekindle their relationship or like whatever in a sick, dark, twisted way basically. And so this I also forgot to mention that Heather, because I remembered her name because I couldn't remember her name from before, and now I remember her name. So Heather, basically in this episode, she's basically like against the whole vigilante thing. Ever since what happened with Muse in the last episode, now she's kind of just against all vigilantes, even though the one vigilante that literally tried to save her, she literally freaking hates now too, I guess. I don't know. Her character is kind of like, her character is fine, but like I never really like her and Matt together. I never really cared that much about their relationship, other than like the Muse stuff, her being connected to Muse, and obviously she's connected to Wilson Fisk because, you know, she's the therapist of both Vanessa and Wilson Fisk, so there's that also. But she comes to like a point where like she feels like all vigilantes are just boys hiding the term that she uses, that all vigilantes are undeveloped boys wearing or hiding behind masks basically, and that's how she feels about vigilantes. And Matt is basically like, hey, no, actually Daredevil is actually like a good person, and like he actually saves people. I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm not like him or anything, but like, you know what I mean. It's not like I'm him or anything, or like, so like it's not like it's like whatever. And so they basically have like an argument on whether vigilantes are just, you know, guys behind masks trying or doing whatever they want, or like, you know, whatever. And so I don't know, I guess her thought on it, or on vigilantes themselves, I kind of understand where she's going from, or where she's coming from, I guess, because the person who tried to kill her was wearing a mask and wore a costume, but like it is kind of like messed up that you're lumping all the vigilantes together. Like, they're not all the same. I think one of them tried to save you, like, you know, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see. So basically this whole episode, so yeah, Bullseye gets out of prison, and basically Heather is also invited to like this I guess it's like a ball, or like some sort of like place where all like the fancy people get together, and like they're, you know, drinking stuff, and like they're dancing together. And so she gets invited by Wilson Fisk to come to this, you know, I don't want to say party, but like it's where all this is like a bunch of rich people, you know, hanging out, all dressed up and everything. And so Daredevil, or I guess Matt in this situation, is like, you don't know Wilson Fisk like I know Wilson Fisk, but Wilson Fisk is like a terrible person, and you should like trust my word on that. And so like he's basically telling Heather to not go to this because he doesn't trust Wilson Fisk, because, you know, obviously his history with, you know, Wilson Fisk. And she's like defying it, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go anyway, and like freak you. And so she goes to like this party, and Matt ends up showing up too. Bullseye ends up showing up because, you know, he got out of prison, and basically all the characters are at this ball, and freaking stuff happens. But no, the freaking Wilson Fisk and Vanessa are at the ball, and like they're dancing together, and obviously the corrupted, or I guess his task force, are also there, and they're also doing, you know, corrupted cop stuff. But the main thing I want to touch upon is the ending of this episode. So Bullseye, he steals like a police uniform to get out of jail, and he basically shows up to like the party, or like whatever, and he's basically there just to kill Wilson Fisk, I guess, or like assassinate Wilson Fisk, because I originally thought he was there to kill Vanessa, but he's actually there to kill Wilson Fisk. But we also find out in this episode who set up, or I guess who sent Bullseye to kill Foggy, and we find out that it's not Wilson Fisk. It was actually Vanessa who sent Bullseye to kill Foggy, and that was definitely a twist I did not see coming, or I didn't see that, you know, I didn't see that coming. So that was like a cool little twist that they did with her character. And so that just what ends up happening is that Bullseye tries to assassinate Wilson Fisk. Then, you know, Matt ends up saving Wilson Fisk's life by taking the bullet himself instead of, you know, it hitting Wilson Fisk. And then obviously what I talked about earlier in this video of, you know, the quote of, because that's what good men do, they defend their worst enemies. Matt defends his worst enemy, Wilson, and that quote basically comes back into fruition. And so, yeah, man, this episode was crazy. There was a lot of stuff set up in this episode, a lot of things that are, I guess, gonna come to a head in the last episode. I don't know what the last episode, I'm assuming, because we've seen also set photos. This is also another spoiler, I guess, so if you don't want to hear about it, just I would just stop maybe watching the video now, or skip to like a later part in the video, I don't know. And so basically, in the last episode, from set photos that we've seen, Daredevil is actually gonna get like his black and red costume from the comic books, and so I'm really interested to see how he's gonna get that costume. We know, I'm pretty sure the Punisher is supposed to show up in the last episode too, and, you know, and fight these corrupted cops with the Daredevil, I think. I don't know how Bullseye plays a role in the last episode. because I didn't think he was gonna be in the last episode. So I don't know if he's gonna be a big part of the last episode or if he's not. Obviously Matt is like, he got shot, and so we have to find out like how he's gonna recover from that and everything. But this episode was pretty good. I would probably give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I'll probably get into 8 out of 10. I enjoyed this episode. And so I'm just really excited to see where the last episode goes. So yeah, man, that's gonna be it for this video. Leave down in the comment section below what you thought of episode 7 and episode 8 of the new Daredevil Born Again show. Yeah, man, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So yeah, bye.